coming out soon. Anyone? Yes, you are. Not here. Also, on record. Two of them were like on Sky. Yes. It doesn't really make sense that he didn't want to go home. They were parties and stuff. They were apparently in the middle of yeah, I wasn't here for that. It just said like I mean, he almost certainly will, right? He snuck out the back yesterday. He snuck out because Farmer Soto talked about that. Right. I would be shocked. Another proof coming. Telemundo has that now. They're coming out. Okay. Barber said no talking while doing that. No, he said what? He said he was lawyer party should be up to the rest. We'll talk now. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Yeah. But I wasn't a party. So. Yeah. You can do whatever the hell you want. That was a nice profile, by the way. You need a wireless. You need wireless. Wireless? Like 5 days. I'm gonna need earplugs.
It's $19 on Amazon.
I'm gonna need earplugs the way he talks so loud.
When you get really angry, does your head turn red? Like, Idala literally the entire time was.
You look like it's going to explode.
I know. If yours do
I
that,
never scream that loud.
that's not true. Okay, so does it happen to you? I'm just curious. I've never seen it before. As a fellow
When
bald
did you
man.
see me doing that?
No, never. But do you get red like that?
I get red?
Do you get red like that? Top of your head.
When I scream?
Yeah.
I don't scream. I'm much mellower now. Those days are long gone.
I'm just trying to. Aren't there stuff
I don't want to have a heart attack or a stroke, so it's all over.
Talk to everybody here. I mean, if I put the hat on, it's like casting. Put the hat on, or cast a shadow on my face, doesn't it?
I want the one for the job. There you go.
Mike, I want you standing next to me, please. You got the full, John. He got the full acquittal. You stand next to me.
I didn't know you were there, man.
Diana, come stand next to me. Jennifer, you stay here too. All of us are all together. I guess it is good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Harvey Weinstein, between the state of California and the state of New York, almost 20 women have come out and accused him of some form of a sex crime. And at the end of the day, from 2017, that New York Times article, until today, he's convicted of one person. There is a vibrant appeal going on in California that Jennifer Bongine is handling, where they did not let evidence of exculpatory evidence in besides all the Molyneux and every other. So we're very confident that that appeal will be successful. So everyone just needs to understand, Harvey Weinstein became the poster boy for the Me Too movement, and after almost 20 women came out in courthouses across the nation, there's one conviction. One. And that conviction that happened in this courthouse will be appealed to the level as his last conviction was, which was overturned. We have very powerful evidence that there was gross juror misconduct at this trial. Very powerful evidence, not just relying on what we saw in the courtroom, what you all saw in the courtroom about a juror saying he's being so intimidated he refused to go back into the deliberating room. None of us have ever heard of that, where a juror is so intimidated, a grown man who was in good physical shape in his late 30s saying, I'm afraid to go back into the deliberating room. If that doesn't cast doubt on the verdicts here, I don't know what would. So this is not over. However, Mr. Weinstein started out with a 23-year prison term when we left here on March 11th of 2000. Those numbers are now out the window. Of course, Mr. Weinstein's disappointed. He has maintained his innocence from the day I met him in 2019. In 2020, when I sat next to him when the verdict came in of guilty on Mimi, he said to me, how could this happen? I'm innocent, I'm innocent. He basically said the same thing yesterday to Mr. Sabella, who sat next to him. The district attorney's office had spoken to Kaya Sikola in January of 2020. They didn't believe her until they had to believe her. Because once the case was reversed, they needed someone else. Jessica Mann wasn't good enough. Mimi Hele wasn't good enough. They were not allowed to put in any more Molyneux witnesses, so they needed something else. And that's when they called back someone from 4 years ago. Said, oh, maybe you could change your story and we'll believe you now. I'm going to ask Michael Sabella to speak a little bit about the acquittal of Kaya Sikola.
Hello, everyone.
Give me your name.
My name is Michael Sabella. I handled the Kaya Sokola aspect of the case and working with this team as all aspects of the case. When I came into this case in December, Harvey Weinstein was adamant that he had done nothing wrong with Kaya Sokola, that her allegations from 2002, when she was 16 years old, was a complete and total lie. While it's true that Kaya Sokola came to New York in July of 2002, that's about the only truth that was uttered about 2002. They never met each other. They were never seen together. There's absolutely no writings of ever being together 2002, 2003, 2004. Until 2005, when we had a witness come forward and said they were together. And Ms. Sokola denied that because they were together at that point having a consensual sexual relationship in Ms. Sokola's apartment in the fall of 2005. Okay, that consensual relationship continued to the spring of 2006 when Ms. Sokola invited her sister to come and meet Harvey Weinstein because it was someone that she admired and was hoping to get help from. And when she didn't get the help, when Harvey Weinstein made promises that she believed he didn't keep, years later when she had the opportunity, thanks to the Me Too movement, she said, why not me too? Right? And she joined the movement for suing him and then coming forward to the DA's office and talking about a non-forceful event, right? And no charges were brought. They could have brought charges in January, February, March of 2020 based upon what Ms. Sokola reported to the district attorney's office at that time, and they didn't. Until 4 years later when Mr. Weinstein's case was overturned and they had to try it all over again. And Ms. Sokola, who after getting all of her red carpet treatment in 2022, based upon her coming forward and filing a civil claim, eventually settling for over $3 million from, not from Mr. Weinstein, but from Disney, from a settlement fund, right? Then the story went from non-forceful to forceful, exactly what the DA's office needed, and they were happy to bring her forward. But fortunately, you had a jury that saw all the evidence, saw Kaya Sokola's writings, where she wrote that 2 other men sexually assaulted her, but Harvey Weinstein did not. All he did was make promises that she believed he didn't keep. She said that on cross-examination on the Friday afternoon before ever being confronted with any diary, that what upset her most and what she talked about in Rolling Stone in 2022 was promises she believed Harvey Weinstein made and didn't keep because she was cut as an extra in the nanny diaries. So while Harvey Weinstein is happy that he has not been convicted for the allegations, the false allegations that were brought by Kaya Sokola, obviously he's disappointed with the overall verdict. But we are very satisfied that we were able to knock out this charge, which was clearly fabricated and made up against Mr. Weinstein, as determined by this jury.
Just wrap it up. And just to wrap it up, about Kaya Sokola, who came out here, I believe, yesterday and took some kind of a victory lap after 12 jurors said, we don't believe you. Speaking to some of the jurors, that was their fastest and quickest verdict. They went in there, they voted on her not guilty, 12-0, and they came right out. So it just shows you how really bastardized the whole Me Too movement has become now. She comes here and says it's a great victory when 12 people told her you lied. You lied. You that's not what happened. I think Mimi was here yesterday with Gloria Allred holding her hand up in victory. Well, you know what? If I made $500,000 for telling a couple of lies, maybe I would hold my hands up in victory as well, although that's not how I was raised. So Mr. Weinstein is looking forward to his appeal. Mr. Weinstein is going to put forth a significant, before we get to appeal, post-trial memorandums about the gross juror misconduct. I see some very prestigious lawyers here who have tried probably over 100 cases. They all know that when jurors, we have 2 different jurors came out and said, Judge, what's going on in the deliberating room is not right. The courage that they had, the bravery they had to basically, turn in their fellow jurors. We have the contact information for the jurors. We're going to do an in-depth investigation as to what went on there. We're going to file the motions in front of Judge Farber, and we're going to ask him, bring these jurors back and listen to what really happened in the jury room. Because what we found out in the last hour, by talking to the jurors in here, some of them, what happened in that jury room was absolutely improper, and it's black letter law. It's gross juror misconduct. Not only did you have a guy being threatened to the point where he refused to continue to deliberate, confused to be in the same room, but we found out they were considering evidence not admitted at trial. That is gross conduct by a juror, and if his name wasn't Harvey Weinstein, first of all, we wouldn't be here in the first place. But any judge hearing what happened, if his name was Harvey Jones, would have declared a mistrial last week. But when the judge hears the post-trial memo, when we have the affidavits, when he calls them in and we do the hearings, he's going to have no choice but to set aside Miss Haley, the verdict against Miss Haley.
Arthur,
Yes, sir.
two of the jurors outside said that juror number one was the problem, and it really wasn't contentious.
Well, they reached a verdict on 2 of the counts, so you know what?
Say what these 2 jurors said.
There's 11 jurors. We're going to do our best to speak to every single juror, but we were just told by another juror that some of those jurors who maybe you just spoke to said they were considering evidence about other cases not having to do with Mr. Weinstein, other cases that are in the news, maybe nearby. They were taking that into their deliberations as example. They were talking about making an example out of Mr. Weinstein, sending a message. That is absolutely verboten, absolutely what you are not allowed to do. And we are, we're going to vigorously just prosecute that. We're going to be the prosecutors to see what went on. So the bottom line is we're going to go see Mr. Weinstein right now in the back. But what's the takeaway from today? After 3 trials and 20 women, you have 1 conviction here. 1. So maybe everyone was wrong to put Harvey Weinstein's face on the picture of the Me Too posters that went up all over the world 5 and 6 years ago. And maybe he was the most successful producer of his generation, and he may have been a tough boss, he may have been a tough negotiator, but he wasn't a sexual predator the way everyone tried to make him out. And jealousy is a horrible thing. We've all felt it at some point or another in our lives. And people who want to bring down people on the top of the mountain sometimes really skew the facts and distort the facts and prostitute the facts so that they can get what they want. Let's take down a giant. And we saw it happen over, and they did. They did. Mr. Weinstein is in jail right now. They succeeded with putting his face on the posters of Me Too, and now 36 jurors across the United States of America, this great country, have heard all of the evidence, and you got 1 conviction. Thank you, everybody.
I want to follow up on the jury concerns because you did note they did acquit Mr. Weinstein on the Kaya Sokla allegation, they convicted him of Mimi Haley, and then they had this dispute over Jessica Mann. The judge comes in today, says he talked to 11 jurors, and they wanted to keep deliberating, and that the concerns of the juror 4 person were overblown. How do you reconcile all that and the misconduct you say exists when they did acquit your client on the one?
We have to dig a little deeper, right? So Kaya Sokla was, she wrote to us basically in her journal, Harvey Weinstein didn't do anything more than breaking promises. So there wasn't that depth of analysis that had to be done on Mimi Haley. So when you're dealing with that depth of analysis and people are looking deep in and they say, well, look at R. Kelly, look what's going on across the street with P. Diddy, and we need to send a message that, Harvey Weinstein is not going to get away with this. You're not allowed to do that. That's not what you can do. And that's what we just heard happened. So we're going to be the prosecutors now, not the Manhattan DA's office, although they should be the prosecutors. They have what's called a quasi-judicial function. They're supposed to act like judges and advocates at the same time. And if they find out that a juror did something wrong, they're supposed to come to the judge and say, Your Honor, I know we got this conviction. However, we found out that in the jury room, wrong things happened, and we probably need to do this over again.
One follow-up. The prosecutor, Nicole Blumberg, was, I think, several times mentioned Mr. Weinstein, if he wants to make this phase 3 charge go away, could plead guilty. I assume what your answer is, but I wanted to ask you what his answer is and how he proceeds from here.
Mr. Weinstein made it very clear to all of us yesterday when we spoke to him that he's never going to say that he raped Jessica Mann, who he had a 5-year relationship with. It was a friendship. It was those emails show, and her testimony shows they were tight, like on a lot of levels. She's having birthday breakfast. God bless you. They're having birthday teas with Mr. Weinstein and his daughter. They're trying to have lunch with her mother. This was more than like a fling. It was 5 years, 2012 to 2017.
Can you talk about the jail time? How much has he served in this?
He served about 6 years so far in corrections time. So, we're going to be fighting with not fighting, but we're going to advocate very strongly if it gets to sentencing, because we don't believe it will get to sentencing. We think that there's going to be such gross juror misconduct that the case gets thrown out before there's a sentencing, before there's an appeal. We're going to advocate very strongly that Mr. Weinstein's age and his health, everyone's heard about his horrible health, which is legitimate. We could all tell you, we've spent a lot of time with Mr. Weinstein. He's not malingering. They don't just put you in Bellevue Correctional Facility because you say I have a toothache. They put you there when they're afraid you're going to die on there watching Rikers Island. That's the only reason why he's there. All of this counts towards his time, yes. So hypothetically, if the judge gave him 7 years, he's basically almost done.
What happens now? Does he stay at Bellevue or does he go back to Rikers?
I don't know the answer to that question.
If there is a fair trial,
It's going to be up to the prosecutor if they're going to waste all of our time, all of our taxpayers' money to try a case where he served all the time. So if he gets convicted of Jessica Mann, which I don't think he will, but if he got convicted of Jessica Mann and the judge gave him the maximum time, he's already done it. So
Does this help the appeal in LA?
I don't know if this has any bearing on the appeal in Los Angeles. Does it, Ms. Bonjean? Do you want the microphone?
It's all right.
No, it shouldn't have any bearing, but,
But it does because it's in the ether.
Right.
Yes.
You may have spoken about this, but what is his frame of mind right now? Could you just talk about his disposition? And, he spoke in court in passion. And I'm surprised by hearing him that you didn't put him on the stand because he is sort of a man controlled.
Today I would use the word exhaustion about Mr. Weinstein. I can tell you for this team, who I absolutely love and adore, our emotional roller coaster ride over the last 2 months. But we all knew we were going home to our families. This was his life. This is the first death penalty case I've ever tried, because Mr. Weinstein is 73 years old, and if he got convicted of everything here, there would be a substantial sentence and he would die in prison. So that's why I missed everything, and we all did, everything in our personal lives, and invested everything in this case over the last 3 months. But for Mr. Weinstein, it is his life. And many of you were there yesterday with this juror misconduct situation and saw me get very upset and very animated. For Mr. Weinstein's blood pressure and his heart and his cancer and his spinal stenosis, it's just such an up and down. And today, and it was obvious to all of us, he was exhausted. He's wiped out. They wanted to break him, and they've done a really great job. We're hoping that because of what's taken place and what we found out just a little while ago from some of the jurors who have been dismissed, who want to help now, that Mr. Weinstein can see some serious light at the end of the tunnel. He just wants to be with his kids, and that's very sincere. All he said to me Tuesday was, Arthur, I want to be with Dash. My son needs me. My son needs me. I said, Harvey, we're doing I said, if you were my own uncle, there's nothing more we could do. He's like, my son needs me. I said, I know, Harvey. I feel you. I feel you. And yesterday, after the verdict, when we went down and saw him, he was very gracious to all of us. He really was. Obviously, Harvey Weinstein had to have been a very tough businessman to achieve the success that he has. But with us, I have to say, over the last months, over the last years, he's been really a great client. He's been excellent. To Diana, when she did the Court of Appeals, that whole case she handled, he could not have been more gracious, more thankful. And then he told us before a verdict what any lawyer who works as hard as we can on this would want to hear. No matter what happens with this jury, I know you guys did everything you could. Your dedication was evident. and I would never hold it against any of you. That helps all of us sleep at night, that that's how he genuinely feels.
Arthur, so yesterday you called for the arrest of this allegedly rogue juror who was making threats. Are you aware of any referrals, or has your team made any referrals to law enforcement to investigate the matter?
I am not aware of any referrals to law enforcement about. I mean, there's a crime on the books. I read the charge yesterday, and it's menacing. It's when you intimidate someone, when you get to them nose to nose, and you threaten them just with physical injury, which could just mean just pushing them and causing substantial pain. You know, they do those cases in arraignments all the time. So why wasn't it done here? Because it was in a deliberating room. In my opinion, in our opinion, it's even more egregious that a juror was intimidated to the point where he refused to deliberate. And no one's going to look into that. No one's going to. The district attorney's office isn't going to, proceed with some kind of investigation. But they're not. They don't want to because they like the fact. They like the fact that there was a conviction. And if he comes in or other jurors come in and talk about gross jury misconduct, this judge has no choice but to set aside the verdict. If there's evidence from 1, 2, 3 other jurors that the judge believes, he finds credible, that there's juror misconduct in the room, the judge is obligated to throw out this case, to throw out the Mimi Haleh case, or at least declare a mistrial, and he would have to be retried for yet 1, 2, 3, there would be the 4th time.
Can you talk more about when the judge questioned this court and asked about the conviction, unanimous, yes, and it was forced, no, and it was his decision, my decision. I mean, he was saying on the record, I wasn't forced. There were others too, and it was my decision on the way.
But John, what we don't know is what did they deliberate on? We were just told in the hallway they would deliberate, by more than one juror, they were deliberating on things that they weren't supposed to be deliberating on. The judge kept a lot of evidence out from the jury because it was not reliable. You can't rely on rumors. You can't, and it's overly prejudicial. So when you hear that jurors are relying on evidence that are not reliable, is overly prejudicial, should not be considered by them, and you have jurors saying, oh yeah, we considered this, and we considered this that we shouldn't have, that we shouldn't have, the other thing that we shouldn't have, it doesn't matter that juror number 1 said, no one forced me to. If he based his decision on illegal evidence, then it's an illegal trial, and it's got to be thrown out the window.
And obviously didn't follow instructions.
And obviously the jurors did not follow the instructions that the judge read to them over and over and over again. You could only base your decision in this case based on the evidence that I, the judge, allowed in on this case. And jurors are saying, no, that's not what happened. We based our decision on evidence that the judge didn't know nothing about. We based it on what we read in the newspapers about other cases, what we heard on TV. And we have to make an example of it. I mean, that's a ground ball. If one juror comes in here, takes her oath, his oath, and the judge, I'm talking about in 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, and says, yeah, well, I voted because I thought, and others voiced it, because we need to make an example of Harvey Weinstein, Judge Farber's got no choice but to say, okay, I'm going to declare a mistrial. And the sad part is the prosecutor will object. Oh, no, Judge, it's okay. You should let it happen anyway. And we should expect more from our government officials. We should expect them to really want a fair and impartial jury. They should be the ones saying, you know what, Judge? That's not the way the system's supposed to work. We join in Mr. Aidala's application. Did you see today? I move for a mistrial. They say, oh, we want to move for a mistrial. The judge says to me, do you join in their application for a mistrial? No. They joined in my application for a mistrial. I wanted that. We wanted that. Mr. Weinstein wanted that.
Sort of addressed this, but just to put a finer point on it, I mean, the Saga acquittal, how do you avoid throwing that out if there was juror misconduct generally? I mean, you said that the evidence was easier for that one, but
Double
in the
jeopardy.
case that if there was juror misconduct generally, the whole thing needs to go out?
No, because there's something called double jeopardy in the law. So once a jury acquits someone, that's to protect us, to protect the citizens of our country. Once a jury says not guilty, they cannot appeal that. So they can't say, well, Judge, they also acquitted her on the wrong things. But the information we have was that diary where she wrote down 4 or 5 or 6 people who sexually abused her. And then when it said Harvey Weinstein, which just says Harvey, he had broken promises. If he was an abuser, why isn't he on the list? All right, everybody. Thank you very much. You've all been, and I want to thank the New York State court officers who have been absolutely fantastic with Mr. Weinstein. He's taken very good care of him in his ill position. They don't get the credit they deserve in making this courthouse run. Thank you all very, very much.
Anyway. Yes. So.
Okay.
What if you don't understand that? So tell me what you need.
What, like so so what happened with that? They wanted a sentence now, you know what I'm saying?
The sentence will be next week, and it'll be July 7th.
You mean that, but that's just the new status, or you think that that will turn into a sentence?
It'll turn into I think we're gonna have the jury. You know, we went down. We all ran out of the room. We went to a conf jurors.
That's I could tell.
Special dispensation to get in there?
All right.
That's what I heard last time.
I have others. What you're going over that?
Yeah, I want. Yeah, Elizabeth Wagmeister wants to say hi. See you then.
I don't want to. I'd love to hang out and chat.
Mira quién están aquí, están esperando a alguien fuerte aquí, mira. Ahí está Fox News, CBS, la cámara de CBS.
Disgusted with what's going on here.
I mean, there was one yesterday.
Right.
I mean, I saw
All this back and forth, gotta go down to the second floor to come back up to the first, go down to the first floor to go back up or something now. All because the lady, hadn't the lady done gave me the fucking wrong paperwork, I would have been out of here. Stupid bitch gonna give me the wrong paperwork and shit. Now they went to lunch, so now I gotta wait till 2:15 when they come back. Shit, I'm fucking hungry. What you mean? I'm just starving right now. I ain't got no fucking money.
Signed it. You'd be like,
What floor the trial's on? What floor? What floor the Diddy trial's on?
Oh, Diddy's probably on the floor.
Wait, which courthouse? You take a left here, Logan?
Left and then a right.
Yes, I'm here for my interview. If chosen, I will not run.